Have you ever driven down a lonely highway at night and felt an unshakable sense that something was watching you from the darkness just beyond your headlights? And what if that feeling wasn't fear at all, but a warning? Because every October across the United States, a chilling pattern quietly repeats itself as travelers vanish from some of America, as most infamous highways without leaving behind blood, wreckage, or even signs of struggle. Only empty vehicles, abandoned luggage, and questions that refuse to be answered. And before we go any further, welcome to True Terror Files Official, the home of real unexplained mysteries, true horror investigations, and cases that challenge reality itself. So if you're drawn to stories that blur the line between the natural and the unknown, make sure you subscribe now and stay with us until the end, because what you're about to hear may permanently change how you see the open road. And October has long been associated with thinning veils, heightened paranormal activity, and psychological vulnerability, a month where ancient folklore, seasonal darkness, and isolation converge. And while skeptics argue that October simply brings harsher weather and longer nights, investigators have noticed something far more disturbing, a spike in disappearances that cannot be explained by accidents alone. People setting out on routine trips only to dissolve into silence. Cell phones going dead mid-call, dash cameras cutting to static, and vehicles found days later parked neatly on the shoulder, as if their drivers simply stepped out and vanished. And as we move deeper into this investigation, one question will echo again and again. Are these roads merely dangerous? Or are they active participants in something far more sinister? Something that awakens every October and waits patiently for the next set of headlights to appear. Route 66 has long been celebrated as the backbone of American travel. Yet beneath its nostalgic image lies a darker history. Because over the decades, October has marked the disappearance of multiple solo drivers along isolated desert stretches, including a case from the late 1990s where a man traveling west was last seen stopping for fuel. Later his car was found miles away with the engine cold, wallet untouched, and the driver's door open toward empty desert. And locals whispered that he had mentioned seeing a woman in white walking along the road just hours before. A legend echoed again and again along Route 66, while far north on the Alaska Highway, a road surrounded by endless forest and freezing silence, October has claimed travelers whose vehicles were later discovered without footprints in snow, no tire marks leaving the road, and no signs of wildlife interference, including a well-documented case where a couple vanished while towing a trailer that was later found fully intact, parked carefully, as if waiting for its owners to return. And then there is the Devil's Backbone in Texas, a lesser-known stretch infamous for sudden fog, radio interference, and reports of phantom headlights approaching head-on before vanishing instantly. A place where multiple drivers have gone missing under identical conditions. Last calls describing confusion, a feeling of being followed, and the haunting statement that the road didn't look the same anymore. And when these cases are laid side by side, the similarities become impossible to ignore. October, isolation, silence, and roads that seem to bend reality itself. Across all these highways, witnesses report the same disturbing phenomena. Spectral hitchhikers who appear suddenly and vanish without opening doors. Phantom vehicles that follow closely before dissolving into darkness. And time distortions, where minutes stretch into hours with no memory of what occurred in between. And in October, these reports surge dramatically, as if something dormant becomes active. And some survivors describe seeing headlights in their mirrors that cast no reflection. Others report hearing voices through dead radios calling their names. and investigators note that many missing drivers were last seen slowing down or pulling over voluntarily, suggesting not panic, but curiosity or compulsion. Local legends claim the roads themselves remember tragedy, absorbing emotional energy and replaying it like a recording, while paranormal researchers theorize these highways may act as liminal spaces, thresholds where reality weakens. And when eyewitness accounts from truckers, police officers, and emergency responders are examined, a pattern emerges of dread without visible threat, of overwhelming calm followed by sudden disappearance. And the most unsettling detail of all is that some witnesses claim to see familiar faces among the apparitions, as if the missing never truly left the road at all. One October case from Arizona stands out for its disturbing clarity. A woman driving overnight called her sister, stating she felt lost, even though the GPS says, "I'm home." Moments later the call dropped. Her car was found the next morning parked neatly with hazard lights off, keys inside, and no defensive signs anywhere. Police reports showed no criminal evidence, no accident indicators, and no motive for disappearance. And when investigators attempted reenactments, radios malfunctioned at the same mile marker, while dogs refused to track beyond the road's edge. Similar gaps appear in Alaska highway files, where entire search teams reported nausea, confusion, and sudden disorientation, forcing operations to halt, leaving families trapped in uncertainty for decades. And perhaps the most haunting question remains unanswered: whether these people were taken, crossed into something unknowable, or whether the road itself demanded them. Because despite modern technology, surveillance, and forensic advances, October continues to steal travelers without explanation, leaving behind only echoes and unanswered pleas. The psychological impact of these stories runs deeper than fear, embedding itself into the collective subconscious of travelers who now hesitate when driving alone at night, especially in October. And these haunted highways remind us that not every danger announces itself, not every threat can be outrun. And as you reflect on these cases, we invite you to share your own unexplained road experiences in the comments, because many investigations have begun with a single story. And if you've ever felt watched on an empty road, heard something that couldn't be explained, or lost time without reason, your experience matters. And as we conclude tonight's investigation here on True Terror Files Official, remember that the road ahead is not always what it seems, and some journeys don't end where the map says they should, because every October, the highways are still waiting, silent, watching, and ready.